Next up is from Manny THFC saying Spurs 16-17 was better than City's team currently.
Wow, that's a massive claim. So the current treble holders were not as good as Tottenham 16-17. Oh, we were unbeaten at home.
We were unbeaten at home, and we were a very good team, but we were nowhere near treble winning time.
No, I mean, look, even without De Bruyne, they're still top of the league, aren't they? I think that goes to show how amazing they are. Obviously, look, Spurs had some brilliant players then. Eriksen, Son, a younger Son, a younger Kane, Dembele, Vertonghen and Alderweireld at the back, Walker and Rose. At fullback.
It was a great team.
It was a great team, but look at the City team, and it's just world-class players in every single position. It's just crazy.
That Spurs team 16-17 is kind of a similar vibe to the one that we got now, like young up-and-coming players coming through, not much outside of the first 11. I mean, there are quite a few similarities, aren't there, in terms of the way we're building the squad?
Yeah, there are definitely, even in the profile players, there are a few similarities, but I can't say that Spurs 16-17 was better than...
There's no chance. It's not even a conversation.
No.
It's not even a conversation. Dixon says, although Romero can be absolutely world-class on his day, I'm not against selling him for a big fee. I think that would be a big mistake, to be honest. I think Cuti Romero is unbelievable. This season, he's come on leaps and bounds. He's really flourishing in his role as vice-captain. He did lose his head against Chelsea, and it's not great for anyone to see. But I think that, for the most part, he has kind of eradicated that from his game this season. It was kind of like, at the moment, a one-off.
I think Romero is someone you want on your side, 100%. I wouldn't want to sell him. Obviously, everyone does have a price. Well, what if you offer 200 million? Yeah, maybe if that's the fee you're talking about, maybe we should sell him for 200 million. But I think if we're talking about a realistic
150?
price, 150, maybe 150. I don't think I'd sell him for 100.
Really? Not for 100?
I mean, why? Who are we going to get?
Good question. Ask me when I got the 100 million in my hand.
Yeah, exactly. I mean... Would I sell him for? I don't think I would, unless we have a clear plan of someone who we think can be equal or as good as Romero, lined up. I mean, I think Romero is so good. You don't want to let that kind of quality go lightly. I think it has to be a serious offer to even Spurs even consider it. So it'd have to be a really big fee. I mean, I think 100 is just a starting point, in my opinion. Anyway, I wouldn't sell him. I wouldn't consider anything less than that. You've got to remember, he's still 25. He's still young. He's already shown in his career how much he can achieve, in terms of he's won a World Cup. He's shown a lot of good performances, and now with him being part of the leadership group, he's now a real big part of this club now. So and I think he's brilliant. I think he's so good. I know he can lose his head sometimes, but some of the best centre backs were known for losing their head occasionally. So I don't hold that too much against him, albeit I'd like to see him cut it out of his game as much as possible. But
you don't want him to lose that aggressiveness, though, do you?
Exactly. Would Ramos have been that centre-back if he didn't get sent off 29 times in his career?
Yeah.
Who knows?
And look at players not even like centre-backs, but central defensive midfielders like Roy Keane and Patrick Vieira.
Exactly. Loads of red cards.
Patrick Vieira, what does he hold the record? Or he's definitely up there with one of the most red cards in the Premier League, and he's one of the best midfielders in Premier League history.
Yeah, exactly. John Terry probably got sent off a lot. You probably like people like Puyol. He probably got his fair share of red cards. I think every good team needs a centre back like Romero, who's always teeters on the edge sometimes.
Yeah, and I think what you need with a Romero is a partner with him, like someone of the ilk of Van de Ven, Saliba, these kind of players who are very majestic in their defending, don't make too many fouls, and someone that they can kind of bounce off each other.
100%, and I think that's what we've got.
And that's what we were missing last season desperately. Next up, again from Manny again, saying Aurier wasn't a bad player for Spurs. And you know what? I agree with this. I actually agree with it. And I think that he was used as a scapegoat a lot of times. Yes, he gave away his fair share of penalties and got sent off a little bit. But I think when we sold him, we missed him.
100%. That's because we had Doherty and Emerson stinking the place.
Well, I say sold him. We just ripped up his contract for no reason.
Yeah, we literally ripped up the contract of probably what was the best right back of the club at the time.
Yeah.
In hindsight, which is pretty mad to think. Do I want him back? No.
Obviously.
I obviously don't want him back. I think Porro's better than him, and I think Emerson has probably now turned out to be a bit more of a... I think I'd rather Emerson now. If you're telling me go back to the wing-back system, I think I'd probably rather Aurier than Emerson, because Emerson is just terrible at that role. But I think at fullback, Emerson has proven to be a bit more reliable defensively than Aurier. I think on the ball, probably Aurier has a bit more quality, especially in the final third. But obviously Porro I'd much rather than Aurier for sure. So look, I don't think he was bad. I think he's probably thought about in a worse light than he should be, because I don't think he was a bad right back for us, but it's not like is a player who I'm wishing we had back.
Yeah, of course, but I think like Aurier obviously had his moments that frustrated us a lot as a Spurs fan base. He was not a world beater by any stretch of the imagination, but I think for the time he was here, we definitely saw good things from him, and he contributed to us in a really good way. And I think under Jose Mourinho, he did lose maybe his confidence a little bit. It was knocked a little bit, but I still think like we should never have ripped up that contract ever. There was no need for it whatsoever. Next up is from Davey Spur saying, blaming Levy every time something goes wrong is ridiculous. No one could have predicted the injury and suspension crisis. And before you say we should have sold Sanchez, Big Ange agreed to the sale. We shouldn't have sold Sanchez. Big Ange agreed to the sale, so it was his choice.
Absolutely.
And in my opinion, it was the wrong choice. Like, you don't have to agree with everything that a manager does if you love the manager, which I do. But to say that no one could have predicted this injury and suspension crisis, yes, no one could have predicted it to this extent. But we both said very clearly at the end of the transfer window, we're happy with the players that have come in, but it's not enough, because if we get injuries in certain areas, we're going to be completely out on our feet. And I think that's exactly what happened. And to say like no one could predict an injury or suspension crisis, I think like all it took was for one defender to be injured and we're in a crisis. You know what I mean? That's what it's come down to. All it took was for, like, we're in a major crisis now because so many have got injured at the same time. But I think we still would have been in a mini crisis if only one or two of them would have been injured.
Yeah, what's the old saying? I think it's like, if you don't prepare for the worst, you're prepared to fail, or something like that. Something like that is the saying. And I think that's probably what Tottenham are guilty of this summer. And look, and I do have a bit of sympathy because there's a lot of upheaval. Yeah, and new manager, a lot of new players coming in, trying to get a lot of players out. And I understand Rome was built in a day and you can't do everything in one window. But literally every single Tottenham fan was saying in the summer, we need a centre-back because of one injury to Romero or Van de Ven and we're absolutely screwed. And it was so obvious. It wasn't like a secret. Ange said it himself. We're looking for another centre-back. This wasn't like something that wasn't thought about or like some mystery. We needed another centre-back and now we're ruining it, because we didn't get one. So, look, whether you can blame Levy for that, I think Ange was looking for one. I'm sure the scouting department had a few names. So why we didn't get one through the door?
Yeah, they did, because they were scrambling around with 2 hours to go for Shalabar and Lloyd Kelly and this one and that one.
And I think, we're guilty of leaving things too late. And I can't not blame Levy for that, because that's just been a staple of Levy ever since he's been at the club. So I can't look at Tottenham yet again for the 20th transfer window in a row, leaving things late, when that's pretty much what Levy is known for. And that's like classic Levy. And then I turn around and say, and not blame Levy for that? And what am I going to do? Like, say, oh, that's not Levy this time.
Yeah, exactly.
The 20th time isn't Levy. Like, come on.
21st time won't be
this
Levy.
One, yeah, come on.
Southview COYS, big up Marlon, says Ange would have got the same results, if not worse, with the Conte squad from last year than Conte did.
Would Ange have been third in... When did he get sacked? In March. Well, we weren't third, but we were 1 point off third in March when Conte got sacked with the squad we had last season.
I think Ange would have done better with the squad that we had last season than Conte did.
Think about it, because if you think about because let's say Ange would have taken the squad last season and he would have played a 4-3-3 with that team, right? So what would that team have been?
It would have been Lloris in goal, probably.
Emerson right back, probably.
What were our options last year?
It was Emerson or Doherty. Doherty we sold.
And Porro came in January.
But Conte barely got to use Porro.
Yeah, but I guess because Conte left.
Because he only used him for a month, even, because he made his debut in February, didn't he? It was the end of Jan. So most of it would be Lloris in goal. I would say it would probably be Emerson right back.
So wait a sec. When Conte left, we were sitting in fifth?
No, we were fourth, 1 point off third.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Although other teams had games in hand. That's
Yeah.
true, but still.
Look, I mean, it's obviously very hard to say, but
I'm trying to work out what the team would have been if we played a 4-3 under Ange. It would have been Lloris in goal, Emerson right back, probably Davis left back because the other one was Perisic or
Sessegnon.
I'm probably Davis, assuming. I'll probably say Davis.
Yeah, Davis or Sess, yeah.
And then Dyer and Romero at centre back, with a midfield 3, I guess, of Basuma, Bentancur, Højbjerg, with a front 3 of Kulusevski, Kane and Son. Now, with that team,
I think that team under Ange would have conceded a crazy amount of goals, but also scored a crazy amount of goals as well.
I think the football would have been better for sure. Obviously, it would have been easier to watch. Would he have got as many points as Conte? I don't know. I don't know if he would have. I really don't. Because Conte actually got a good amount of points. It was just terrible football. And then once it started to fall apart, everyone turned
toxic.
Fell
apart.
But like,
I also kind of think like the players would have been a lot happier. And
that's also true, probably.
And a result of the players being happier, I think, obviously the good football, like you said, but I do think maybe more positive results would have come through that.
So what are we saying? Ange would have got top 4 with that team last season, you reckon?
I reckon he would have just fallen short, maybe like 5th or something, 5th or 6th, but not 8th.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't have turned sour like it did with Conte. I think that's fair.
Yeah, and he would have lasted the season.
Yeah, that's true. So I think we can definitely say that. I in terms of just pure results from August to March, would he have gotten more than Conte? I think it would have been a similar amount.
Yeah, could be. It's very hard to know, but yeah, I'll go with that. And the last but not least, our last one is from Smith. Smithy says, I don't mind Eric Dyer. Well, that's on your own, mate. I hope you enjoy you enjoy your Eric Dyer.
I don't mind Eric Dyer. Eric doesn't mind me. That's a new song. I think that's what we start singing now.
Yeah, I think Smithy D's going to start singing that.
Yeah, there you go, Smith. Do you mind Eric Dyer?
Depends what at. As a centre back, yeah, I do mind him as a centre back. As a friend, no, I don't mind him at all.
There you go.
But yeah, that brings an end to this international break's unpopular opinions. Let me know your thoughts on all of them in the comment section below, and put your unpopular opinions as well if they haven't been mentioned in this show in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.